I'm tempted to think that the American Republic died on March 21st, 2010. The healthcare overhaul is creating a massive momentum towards a dependency-driven populace, where the majority of people are on the government dole and the minority of producers are paying for it all, the ever-shrinking minority of producers. So I'm saddened, and I'm concerned. I believe that November of 2010, not November of 2012, November of 2010 is the decisive point in America's history. You see, in order to stop the monster that is the government takeover of healthcare, you know what? Let me explain why it's actually a takeover. The intent of that bill, I argue that the intent of this bill is to destroy the private health insurance market and to force everybody into a single-payer system. The single-payer system could arrive in less than 10 years if this bill stands. You see, when the government regulates what an insurance company can sell, how much they can sell it for, they force them from, they stop them forcibly from calculating their risks. They are undercutting the very essence of the insurance business. This cannot be done in the hopes that the insurance business will somehow survive. They know it will not. They have said so themselves so many times. They want a single-payer system. They want the government to own healthcare, owning all the medical professionals, owning essentially the medical device industry and pharmaceutical industry, because they will tell them what they can produce, how much they can charge for it, when and where they can sell it. And by doing that, they will own your body. They will own your health. So I believe very strongly that it's being done intentionally, that the intent is to create a single-payer system. Again, I believe President Obama, when he says so, and he said so on a number of occasions, we know that's what he wants. So, once the private healthcare system has been destroyed, the majority of the electorate will find themselves dependent on the government's will, their will and ability to help them. And that is an irreversible change. It's a cancer that will eat away at the American character and will create a huge 300 million people large nation of dependence. Look at Europe. Look into their eyes. Talk to Europeans. Talk to them about what they feel freedom is like, what they think about liberty, what they think about government's obligations to them. It's very different from what we have in the U.S. And what we have here in the U.S. is precious, and it would be a darn shame to lose. But we will lose it unless the healthcare legislation is repealed. Not changed and nibbled at the edges, but repealed. Now, why I believe that the final battle for the future of the American Republic is going to be coming up to and in November 2010. In order to repeal it, there are two steps. One, the Republican Party, the party of repeal, needs to get majorities in both houses. Now, they need to get 51 voice in the Senate, preferably 60. Neither of which is probably going to happen in November, although you never know. And I remain hopeful about the 51 vote. 60 is a bit of a stretch, but you never know. And they need the majority in the House. The president is still going to veto any kind of attempt to repeal the Obamacare legislation. That's why in 2010, the Republicans need to put a Republican president in the White House. But unless they gain the ground in 2010, that's going to be useless. So by January 2013, the Republicans need to have preferably supermajority in the House and a majority. In the Senate and a majority in the House. I may be getting a little bit confused here, but follow me on this one. And they need to put a Republican president in the White House. Then they can repeal the law. But how are they going to win? in November 2010. They're going to have to run on repeal. And that is going to be the final test of the American character, of the character of the American voter. We will see whether people love freedom enough to sacrifice other less valuable things for it. You see, what's happened here is we've been promised free lunch. And free lunch is a very big temptation. We know, deep down in our hearts, we know that free lunches don't exist. But our hope is that somehow we're not going to be the ones that have to pay for the lunch. We want to have the lunch. We just want the other guy to pay for it. That's going to be the test of the American character. Because people running on repeal are going to have to run against things that are, frankly, desirable. Like, nobody can turn you down with a pre-existing condition. Will you vote for someone who will take that away from you? I will, because I know that free lunches don't exist. I know that the reality cannot be cheated. But will you? Will you vote for someone who promises to take away your right to get health care with a pre-existing condition, no matter whether you have coverage by the time you discover that condition or not? Will you vote for someone who will repeal that, will take that away from you? Will you vote for someone who will take away the lifetime cap on coverage that is currently in existence and that the Obamacare legislation strikes down? Will you vote for someone who will take away those nice, desirable things from you? That's going to be the test. At this point, in my heart of hearts, I'm pessimistic. We now have the largest fucking carrot ever dangling in front of us. And I'm saddened to tell you that I believe the American people are going to follow the carrot and will not see through the charade. The Obamacare bill is cleverly designed to have all the nastier stuff happen after the elections, both the 2010-2012 elections. All the things that will actually start to change your life in terms of healthcare, will start affecting the supply of healthcare and the quality of healthcare, are not going to happen until after the midterm elections and the presidential elections in 2012. So it's incumbent upon you Americans to see through this crap and understand that you are being had and you don't even know it. You have to wake up. You have to realize you've been promised the biggest fucking free lunch in history, and if you fall for it, you're fucked. Don't fall for it. Please. Please don't fall for it. I know some of you watching this probably don't fall for it. Well, educate your friends. Educate your family. Talk to people about reality. The reality of economics. The reality of the fact that we're broke. This nation has no money for the existing obligations, for the existing entitlements. They've just created the largest freaking entitlement in the country's history, which, again, we don't have the money for. Ask the simple questions. Prompt people. Encourage people to ask the question, where's the darn money coming from? How are we going to pay for it? The reality needs to set in to people's minds. The reality. We need to be dedicated to reality at all costs. So I'm begging you, I'm asking you, for your own freaking sake, for the sake of your kids, if you love this country, educate everybody you can. Talk to people. Tell them the truth. And vote for people who will take the goodies away from you. That's the only way you can keep your freedom.